Divine message revealed, this miraculous prophecy will transform your life in 40 days, in the heart of a quaint English village, where the church steeple pierced the sky and cobblestone streets whispered stories of generations, Sarah felt the weight of the world pressing down. The once thriving laughter of her home faded, replaced by worry and uncertainty. Her husband Mark's recent layoff cast a long shadow over their lives, but even amidst despair, a glimmer of hope flickered in Sarah's heart. Attending prayer meetings at their small church became her refuge, where the warmth of community wrapped around her like a comforting cloak. "Lord, guide us," she prayed, the words spilling from her heart. But doubts crept in like unwelcome guests. Could they truly rise from this financial turmoil? One Sunday, the air in the church held an electric charge as Pastor Duncan delivered a prophetic message that would send ripples through Sarah's soul. In 40 days, the Lord will bring transformation to your life. The congregation stirred, hope igniting like wildfire. Sarah's heart raced, but skepticism lingered. Could this really be true? "Sarah, you can't expect miracles." Her friends whispered, their logical minds dismissive of the divine. Mark, once steadfast in faith, began to waver, his fear of the unknown creating an unspoken rift between them. As the days turned into weeks, Sarah gathered her children under the soft glow of night, invoking the name of St. Jude, the patron of lost causes. They prayed with fervor, their voices rising like incense to the heavens, their hearts open to divine intervention. "Please, send us a sign," she cried silently, desperate for hope. In the hushed nights, small miracles began to unfold. An old friend knocked on their door, bringing not only kind words but also offers of assistance. A mysterious envelope slipped through their mailbox, revealing just enough money to cover overdue bills. Each sign felt like a gentle nudge from God, a confirmation of His presence. Yet Mark remained cautious, pragmatism overshadowing faith. As the deadline approached, the air grew thick with tension. One evening, frustrations bubbled over as they faced their fears, clashing like thunder. "We can't keep waiting for a miracle," Mark said, the strain evident in his voice. Sarah longed to reassure him but felt the tight grip of impending disappointment within her. Was she naive for believing? Just then, a breeze flickered through the window, carrying with it a faint hint of jasmine, the fragrance of hope. Gathering her courage, Sarah turned back to prayer, pouring out her heart amidst tears and whispered pleas. "Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With only days left, miracles seemed to hover just beyond reach. But then, on a sun-drenched afternoon, a knock echoed through their home. An anonymous donation arrived, just as their resources dwindled to critical lows. Joy and disbelief collided, illuminating Sarah's spirit. Mark felt his heart swell with renewed love, as they embraced the transformation weaving them closer than ever before. As the village gathered in anticipation of their miracle, Sarah stood before the crowd, a heart brimming with gratitude, but questions still lingered. Had they truly emerged from the darkness, or was this merely the lull before another trial? With the faces of her community looking back, a profound silence enveloped the air. Would God continue to lead them, or were they standing on the brink of something unknown? The days hurried past, each sunset marking another fleeting moment in their 40-day countdown. Sarah felt the tension claw at her heart, excitement and fear intertwining like ivy along the village walls. As she prepared for the final week, the weight of their pending miracle hung over her like a thick, heavy fog. One evening, under a sky strewn with stars, Sarah gathered her children around her. "Let us reflect on the good," she said, clutching their hands tightly. "Every day brings us closer to our promise." They closed their eyes, each child whispering their own thankfulness before God. But as the clock ticked down, Mark's spirit dimmed. Each day without a definitive sign made his worry deepen, and while she clung to hope, Sarah could see the cracks in his courage. During supper, he scooped food onto plates with absent-mindedness, and the silence that settled felt like an unwanted guest at their table. "Love," Sarah ventured one night, her voice meeting the heavy stillness, "what if we trust God and lean into His goodness? I believe our transformation is coming." He looked at her, eyes weary and uncertain. "Do you really think we'll wake up to a miracle? After everything?" As she caught his gaze, a swell of resolve rose in her heart. "I know it. We've been blessed already. Look at the kindness we've received from our friends," the unexpected support. She paused, remembering the rightness of her words. "God is with us." Yet, Mark shook his head gently, the glimmer of belief struggling within him. "I want to believe, Sarah. But it's hard when reality weighs so heavy." A thick silence engulfed them before she spoke again. "Remember the day we decided to plant flowers in the church garden? They seemed to bloom at the least expected moment, didn't they? God tended to those seeds until they blossomed. Surely, He is tending to us too, our hidden struggles, even our doubts." Her words slowly brought a flicker to Mark's eyes. There was truth in her analogy, a truth rooted not in immediate solutions, but in steadfast love and patience. The final 3 days crept by in a whirl of anxiety and excitement. The whispers of their village echoed through their minds, mingling hope with skepticism. With each prayer, every moment of connection to the divine felt both distant yet near. As day 40 approached, Sarah could hardly breathe for the anticipation. On the dawn of the last day, the village began to stir with expectancy. Clouds cloaked the sun, sending a chill that felt like the mystery of something great. With her children tucked in, Sarah knelt beside her bed, her heart fully laid before heaven. "Lord, today is the day," she breathed, her voice fiery with faith, imaginations racing ahead. "I am ready for the transformation you promised us." With each word, she felt such a rush of divine peace, a surge like the sunlight breaking through the clouds. As evening descended, the townsfolk gathered in the church, hearts beating with shared anticipation. Sarah, standing at the forefront, felt their energy pulse in unison, a collective yearning that seemed to wrap around her. Feeling both fear and exhilaration wash over her, she knew that something monumental was about to happen. But as she looked into the faces of her beloved community, a thought struck her. Was the transformation purely for their family, or was it grander than they could comprehend? Just as she opened her mouth to speak, an unforeseen rush of wind burst through the door, sending papers flying and hearts racing. Silence enveloped the room, and every eye turned toward the threshold. Where was their miracle? Had it arrived already, cloaked in mystery? And then, as if the heavens themselves were answering, a radiant light flickered against the church walls, bathing everyone in a glow that felt both humbling and awe-inspiring. An undeniable feeling surged, whispering secrets of divine love and promise all around what would emerge from this moment, this intersection of faith and expectation. The answer shimmered tantalizingly closer as the room held a collective breath in hope. A hush fell deeper in the church, as if time itself paused in reverence. The radiant light danced, circling the congregation, and Sarah felt an electric current ripple through her. She could hardly believe what her eyes were witnessing, her spirit trembling with both hope and awe. The gentleness of the glow caressed their faces, illuminating the trust and anticipation reflected in their expressions. Eyes wide and breath held, the villagers leaned in closer, inching toward the phenomenon that felt like the very breath of God among them. It was a moment suspended in eternity, a slice of heaven gracing their humble gathering. "Look!" whispered an elder, pointing towards the center of the room where the brightness seemed most concentrated. It felt as if a radiant being stood before them, inviting them to witness something divine. Sarah's heart raced. She felt both small and significant, enveloped in something far larger than herself. A profound stillness settled over her, filling her with peace that washed away the pervasive worries that had clouded her mind. As the brilliance grew, shadows receded, replaced by an unmistakable feeling of love, a love that binds, heals, and renews. Her thoughts drifted to the scriptures she cherished. "May your hearts be lifted," she murmured inwardly, recalling the promises of hope whispered in sacred texts. In that ethereal space, she sensed a voice trailing through the light, both a whisper and a roar, reverberating through every heart. Hope, healing, transformation, it intoned. Each word seemed to pulse with life, igniting faith and stirring longing. The people exchanged glances, not quite sure if they dared believe they were witnesses to something spectacular. Mark's hand found Sarah's, squeezing it tightly. She could feel the warmth of his palm echoing the light that flooded their surroundings in assurance. She turned to him, seeing beneath his wavering faith a glimmer of rekindled resolve. Then, from within the light, a figure stepped forward, bathed in the divine hue, a messenger, perhaps. Clad in robes that swirled like mist, the figure radiated a calm authority, exuding peace that soothed frayed hearts. "Fear not," the figure spoke, their voice resonant with the weight of truth. "For today marks a new beginning. What you've longed for is near. The promise you seek shall manifest, but be open, for it comes wrapped in unimaginable forms." Gasps rippled through the congregation, a medley of bewilderment and hope. Sarah's breath caught, for the air felt charged with potential, and invitation to lean deeper into trust. "Trust not just for yourselves, but for the world around you," the figure continued. "Your transformation is intricately woven with the healing of your community. Embrace the uncertainties, for therein lies the beauty of faith." Each word hung heavy yet light, pressing deeply while igniting a longing for more wisdom. Would her family's light blend into the village's tapestry of renewal? Sarah's thoughts spun with joyful anticipation, envisioning the ripple effect of divine transformation spilling over beyond her wildest dreams. As the glow began to soften, the figure raised a hand. "Remember, as seeds grow in unseen soil, so too shall the promises take root in your lives. Prepare your hearts for the bounty of what is to come." With those final words, the light slowly diminished, but the warmth lingered. A soft glow remained, settling like a promise written on each person's heart. What would this divine message unveil for them? Not just as a family, but as a community, a body bound in faith? Sarah took a breath, feeling hope burgeon within her. The miracle had begun, but what greater revelation awaited them in the unfolding days ahead? The glow dimmed, but hope still flickered in every heart. The villagers turned, their faces aglow with an unspoken understanding. No one was prepared to speak just yet. They felt it, a shift, a stirring deep within. Each took a breath, savoring the moment longer, as if to capture the whispers of the divine. Sarah's eyes sparkled with newfound determination. What if this is just the beginning? She wondered silently. Could they nurture this light into something bigger than themselves? Mark, sensing her thoughts, nodded almost imperceptibly. "We can't keep this to ourselves," he murmured, his voice barely audible. They needed to share this experience, to sow seeds of faith into the community's gatherings. The elder spoke up, breaking the silence. "We've been in darkness too long. This is a call to come together, my friends. We have been gifted this moment, and now, we must shine our light into every corner of our village." A gentle murmur of agreement echoed through the church. Each villager's heart promised to participate in a sweeping change. They would support one another, share their stories, and lift each other during challenges. As they left the church, the air felt different. It carried with it a charge, an excitement of things to come. The streets, which had once seemed familiar and mundane, now glowed with potential. Could this new path lead to healing, transformation? With each step, it felt as if the light was now within them, guiding the way. Families gathered to discuss the morning's event. In living rooms filled with laughter and shared concern, voices arose, inspired by the bold call to faith. Sarah listened, her heart swelling with pride. She felt a profound connection forging, a bond that could not be severed by the struggles they had faced before. "Remember the messenger's words," someone said, reminding the group. "Prepare your hearts for the bounty of what is to come." The phrase echoed through their minds. What bounty awaited them? Days turned into weeks, and the villagers began to cultivate their spirits as they would a garden. Prayer meetings transformed into vibrant discussions rooted in love and mutual support. New ideas blossomed, like spring after winter's long grip, each proposal infused with a sense of purpose. Mark took a lead in organizing actions of service, visiting those who were sick, assisting neighbors with chores, spreading both kindness and truth. With each little act, they poured out gratitude, little miracles cascading through their hearts and home. Sarah remembered the warmth of that moment in the church, a memory she clung to as she scribbled notes for their community gatherings. Her words flowed freely, mirroring the whispers of inspiration that continually surged within her, but amidst the growing light, shadows still lingered. Were they truly prepared for what was to come? Would all their newfound hope stand firm against the storms of doubt that threatened to break loose? They had gathered every Thursday, hands clasped, hearts united. As the weeks passed, troubles from the outside world encroached. Struggles arose, trying to hold them back, shaking their resolve. During one of these challenging nights of prayer, Sarah's eyes closed, and she felt that familiar electric current, a tingle of divine connection. What must we do? She questioned the silence, longing for guidance like a child to a parent. That night, as the stars glittered above, an answer echoed in the depths of her heart, as if the heavens were speaking to her. A deeper understanding of the words "prepare your hearts." What did that truly mean? The urgency pulled at her. She felt the answer was too close, yet hiding just out of sight. Could this be the pivotal moment that would open a door they'd never imagined? As the villagers echoed their prayers, hearts aligned and spirits entwined, they were unwittingly setting the stage for a revelation. What new beginnings lay at the horizon, ready to transform everything they knew? Only time could prove if the promise of their gathering would manifest into something life-altering. But what? Divine surprise awaited them next. The evening of prayer turned into a night of expectancy as the villagers continued to share their hopes and fears. With candlelight flickering softly around them, Sarah felt herself drawn into the warmth of community. Each face reflected a journey of personal struggle and collective triumph. She sensed that they were weaving a sacred tapestry, one thread at a time. "Let us open our hearts fully," the elder suggested, voice steady yet filled with warmth. "We must be willing to let the divine guide us." The room hushed. Each person nodded slowly, eyes shining with commitment. Mark chimed in, his voice steady and uplifting. "We can't shy away from our shared destiny. We're being called to strengthen one another." With this, Sarah felt the air thicken with promise. An unspoken urge surged within her. She envisioned a community united not just in faith, but in action. What miracles awaited them if they grabbed hold of this spirit? She could feel the heartbeat of something grand swelling beneath their unity, a chorus of hope ready to burst forth. A soft rustle broke the silence. It was Miriam, the local baker, her hands trembling slightly. "I have been pushing back my fears, friends," she confessed, afraid of what lies ahead. "Yet I believe. I believe we are destined to change this village together." A chorus of affirmations followed, filling the room with energy. Sarah marveled at the power behind those words. Here they were, a congregation of ordinary people transformed by an extraordinary light. Their vulnerabilities were intertwined, creating a safe space to dream, believe, and be. In that moment, Sarah felt a stirring within, the energy she always connected with during moments of prayer and reflection. It bubbled beneath the surface, urging her to share her deepest thought. "We must not only pray but act," she declared, her voice gaining strength. "We should reach out to the others in our village, the lost, the lonely. We can build bridges, igniting hope where there is none." The villagers leaned in, intrigued and inspired. A buzz ran through the room, ideas began to sprout like seedlings seeking sunlight. They spoke of organizing a festival, a celebration of light, inviting every heart to join in. Miriam stood taller now, her eyes sparkling. "What if we shared our stories? What if songs filled the air? We can invite everyone to come together in this beautiful creation of hope." As the night unfolded, plans were made. The details flowed freely, laughter interspersed with ideas and expressions of faith. They envisioned banners, marigold flowers, music, and laughter echoing through the village square, bringing in all. However, shadows still crept at the edges of their zeal. As they spoke, Sarah noticed the flicker of doubt in some eyes. Would they truly be accepted? Would they face opposition? The realities of life loomed amidst their hopeful chatter, yet some part of her whispered, "This is the moment we push through." The elder raised his hand, bringing their attention back. "Do not forget, unity is strength. If it's truly our calling, the foundation laid on love and faith will shield us." With renewed hope, Sarah closed her eyes and offered a silent prayer. "Guide us, dear Lord. Show us how in every heart could grow the light of your glory." Moments passed as the villagers shared another round of prayers, each voice lifting higher. A symphony of belief resonated in their hearts, carrying them forward. Suddenly, an unexpected sound interrupted the stillness, a distant rumble like thunder, a sudden gust of wind sending chills down their spines. They looked around, confused. Was the storm real, or was it merely a reflection of the unrest simmering within? Could this be a sign? Someone murmured, anxiety creeping into the gathering. With another ripple of energy, Sarah felt driven to lean into that sound, for hidden in uncertainty lay the promise of revelation. What must we learn? She breathed. As they stood together, an unshakable bond forged, they awaited the destiny ahead. What divine message awaited to be unveiled through the gathered? Whispers. A path hidden beyond the storm beckoned them forward. What strength would they need to harness to meet the challenges ahead, and could they truly embrace the light as it began to flicker even more vibrantly? The distant rumble of thunder hung heavily in the air, swaying the hearts of the villagers like leaves in a tempest. Fear mingled with faith, creating an atmosphere thick with anticipation. Sarah opened her eyes and felt her pulse quicken. This felt different. It was not just a passing storm but a prelude to something deeper, a divine encounter inviting them into a new chapter. As the whispers of concern spread through the room, Sarah raised her hand, calling for attention. "Let us turn this moment into a prayer," she suggested, her voice steady yet infused with the urgency of the moment. "We are not alone. Just as He promises to guide us, so we can invite His presence among us right now." The villagers gathered closer, forming a circle of unity that felt more tangible than the wood below their feet. Hands clasped in solidarity, they bowed their heads, centering their thoughts on divine guidance. "Come, Lord," Sarah whispered into the stillness. "Let your will be unveiled amongst us." The quiet fell upon them again, but this stillness was filled with hope rather than doubt. Suddenly, the wind danced around them, sweeping through the open windows, as if carrying away their fears with its sweet breath. A gentle voice, barely a murmur, threaded through the air. "Have faith." Miriam's eyes widened, a spark lighting her face. "Did you hear that?" she asked, looking around at the others. It felt like a confirmation, like we are exactly where we need to be. Mark, trying to catch the pulse of emotion, nodded firmly. "We should take this as a sign. We are called to be vessels of love and light, to be stewards of the promise that is waiting to unfold." The elder smiled, warmth radiating from him. "This is the beginning of our journey, friends. Together, we will transform the doubts into testimonies, the whispers into songs." He glanced around, eyes glistening in the candlelight, touching each heart. "This storm is our invitation to become stronger. We are being asked to witness and act." Joy pulsed through Sarah. She could feel exhilaration welling up in her spirit. It was a call to action, yes, but also a call to be witnesses of a shared journey. We can't just wait for others to join us, we need to step forward. She exclaimed, emboldened. We can make this a movement, a beacon of hope. We can stand axiomatically together. Without hesitation, the villagers began to recount their stories, memories woven through laughter and tears. As they spoke, their shared experiences seemed to weaken the chains of fear holding them down. They were crafting a narrative reflecting resilience, and like the seasons changing, their hearts began to shift. But as dawn approached, apprehension lingered. Will others in our village see what we see? Miriam pondered quietly. Will the ones we wish to reach feel the warmth of our light? At that moment, Sarah felt a stirring in her heart, she understood the deeper truth. It's not just about convincing others, it's about living in a way that radiates what we believe. We must be the light first and foremost. The group settled again into a gentle silence, absorbing this thought as it blossomed in their spirits. In that shared stillness, the distant storm re-emerged, a low growl, inviting them to face it head-on. They understood that even amidst challenges, a divine purpose was unfolding. What if the storm is guiding us to break free from our fears? Sarah whispered, igniting new hope. What if it's the catalyst for something beautiful? Hope entwined with anticipation, the villagers began to lift their voices. Together, they sang a new song, a melody of proclamation rising toward the heavens, reverberating through the air with every heartbeat of their community. It was a song not just of faith but of unyielding courage. As their voices intertwined, the echoes of their dreams spilled out into the night, reaching beyond, beckoning other lonely souls to join this tale. What transformations awaited them as they stepped into the unknown? Would their united faith truly light the path for others, here, standing under a sky cloaked in storm? And promise, they prepared to embrace the unfolding journey ahead. What marvelous revelations awaited them beyond the horizon? The dawn broke quietly, the light filtering through the dark clouds like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. The storm had passed, but its presence lingered in the hearts of the villagers, imbuing the air with a sacred energy. Sarah stood at the edge of the circle, watching as the first rays of sunlight brushed over her neighbors' faces. Each smile was a gentle reminder that they had come together, not just to weather a storm, but to embrace a calling. Miriam was the first to speak, her voice soft yet resonant. What now? We've shared our stories, but how do we carry this light into our lives? Sarah took a deep breath, the question echoing in her mind. We become the living testimonies of our faith. We can't just keep this joy inside. We need to share it, let it ripple through our village like a well-timed wave. Mark chimed in, his face bright with inspiration. Let us gather everyone. We should plan a meeting, a way to show how our light can shine even in the darkest places. As the villagers responded with nods, Sarah felt a surge of determination. Each heart in that circle was a flicker of hope, and together, they could form a fire that would illuminate even the shadows lurking in their community. But as plans began taking shape, an unexpected thought lingered in the back of Sarah's mind. She had sensed something in the storm, a stirring that promised more than just the power of words. What if we also need to create something tangible? She proposed, warmth coloring her cheeks as she spoke. A way to physically embody our faith. The elder looked thoughtful, his brow furrowed. You mean? Let us build a community garden. She exclaimed, her voice ringing with excitement. A place where we can tend to both plants and hearts. It can be a space for us to grow together. A buzz of conversation erupted, villagers exchanging glances filled with hope and wonder. We could have gatherings there, share meals, teach each other, one woman suggested. A sanctuary of service. Imagine what it could mean for the families who feel isolated, Mark added. They'd have a place to connect, witness the love we're planting, literally. Miriam clasped her hands together. And we can weave a sign in the garden, a symbol of our unity. People walking by will see that we are more than a community, we are a family united in faith. As ideas flowed freely, the sense of purpose enveloped them like a warm embrace. Plans for the garden blossomed amidst laughter and eager conversation. Each voice echoed with newfound energy, a collective heartbeat that whispered to the village. It wasn't just about the garden, it was a profound declaration of their presence, a commitment to love in action. But then, from somewhere deep within the gathering, a gentle gust of wind whispered once again. The villagers paused, the hairs on their arms standing tall, as an unmistakable sense of awe washed over them. It was as if the heavens celebrated their endeavor, promising guidance for what was to come. That voice, Miriam murmured, it feels like a reminder. Are we truly ready for the task ahead? Sarah glanced at each face around her, reading the questions hidden in their eyes. If we are willing, she replied softly, then let us move forward. Let us trust that as we plant our seeds of faith, more will grow from them than we can imagine. The group fell into silence, struck by the weight of her words. Each heart beat with a quiet resolve to move forward, to act in faith. It was a call to bravery, not just to build a garden, but to cultivate a movement that could awaken their village. As the sun emerged boldly from behind the clouds, they gathered in prayer once more, thanking God for the vision that was starting to take root. But in the midst of their gratitude, a question loomed large, one that rippled through the air like the wind that had initially ignited their calling. What trials awaited them as they ventured forth into the unpredictable waters of divine service? Would their united efforts truly yield the fruits of their labor in the face of uncertainty? Eager arms raised toward the heavens, they set forth, whispering prayers with each step towards the garden of dreams. What challenges would stretch their hearts and deepen their faith on this uncharted journey? As the villagers made their way to the chosen plot of land, an air of anticipation wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Each footfall felt lighter, buoyed by the shared purpose that drew them forward. The laughter of children mingled with the whispers of elders, creating a symphony of hope that resonated in their hearts. When they arrived, the sight before them was unremarkable at first, a patch of earth, unkempt and overgrown with weeds. Yet, to Sarah's eyes, it was an expanse of possibility. "Look how much potential lies here," she described, her voice filled with conviction. "With our care, this place can flourish." Mark knelt down, brushing his fingers through the soil. "Just like our faith, the ground needs nurturing," he said thoughtfully. "We have to prepare it, brighten it, and feed it." With renewed zeal, they set to work, shovels and garden forks in hand. Laughter bubbled over as they shared stories while breaking the soil, each turn of earth a symbol of their collective commitment. But amidst their joy, clouds began to accumulate once more in the sky. "Is that a storm brewing?" someone asked with a note of concern. "It could be," Miriam said, peering up. But there was something in her eyes, something defiant. "But those clouds are not here to stop us, they're here to test us. We need to keep going." Just as her words hung in the air, the first drops of rain began to fall, soft at first, then heavier. The villagers exchanged worried glances and hesitated, uncertain of their course. But Sarah felt a stirring in her spirit, a message rising from deep within. "Let us not retreat. This is our chance to push through adversity." With renewed vigor, they continued to toil under the downpour. Each drop felt like a baptism, washing away their doubts and fears. The earth became softer beneath their hands, and in the rain's melody, they found unity, a song woven into their labor. As darkness curled around the edges of the daylight, a rainbow emerged, vibrant and full of promise. "Look at that!" Mark shouted, pointing upwards. "God is with us." The village erupted in shouts of joy, hearts ignited by this divine sign. Sarah saw each face illuminated by the colors arching across the sky, and a wave of gratitude surged within her. "This flood of rain nourishes our seeds of faith," she proclaimed. "Each drop has brought us closer together even when the skies threaten to overwhelm us." They gathered in a circle, hands clasped tightly, names flowing like prayers into the air. Each expressed hopes for the garden, for their community, and for the strength to face whatever lay ahead. In that sacred moment, Sarah felt the unmistakable whisper of God's presence, nudging her spirit to go deeper. Just as the prayer concluded, a figure appeared at the edge of the garden, silhouetted against the dying light. The villagers fell silent, looking up with a mix of awe and trepidation. The figure stepped closer, revealing an elderly woman with wild gray hair and bright eyes that sparkled like stars. "Your hearts have shown me that you are ready," she spoke, her voice carrying a weight that silenced the murmurs. "You have chosen to cultivate not just a garden, but a legacy. But remember, with every seed sown, trials will come." Curiosity tinged with caution washed over the group. "What do you mean?" Sarah asked, stepping forward. The woman raised a hand, beckoning them to listen. "It is not the rain, the soil, or even the sunshine that determines your harvest. It is your faith that will guide you. Be vigilant. Stay unified, for your journey is only just beginning." As the last words echoed into the fragrant evening air, the colorful horizon faded into twilight, leaving behind a lingering sense of mystery. What revelations would follow this warning? How could they truly prepare themselves for what lay ahead? The divine journey had only just begun. As the villagers stood in awed silence, the weight of the woman's words pulsed through the air like the distant rumble of thunder. An unspoken understanding settled over them, a collective acknowledgement that their intent had shifted from mere gardening to a sacred mission. "Miriam, what do you sense?" Sarah asked, glancing at her friend's deep-set eyes, now lit with determination. "We must prepare our hearts," Miriam replied, her voice steady. "Each seed planted here holds more than just life, it carries stories, dreams, and perhaps, even trials we cannot yet fathom." The rain eased into a soft drizzle, and a serene peace surrounded them. The villagers took a moment to reflect. Each face glowed softly in the twilight, shadows dancing as the last rays of sun retreated. "I feel a stir," Mark said, tilting his head as if listening to an unseen melody. "The earth is speaking to us with that." They huddled closer, feeling the gentle pulse of their community, the very heartbeat of shared dreams and prayers. The old woman watched them, a knowing smile on her lips. "You see, already the journey will not be one of solitude but a tapestry woven with every thread of your souls." "And how do we navigate this?" A new voice piped up, filled with youthful eagerness. It was one of the children, bright-eyed and full of belief that their small hands could grasp the mysteries of life. "Great question," the woman exclaimed, her eyes crinkling with delight. "Begin each dawn with gratitude, and recognize the blessings, even in challenges. Faith is not simply an umbrella against the storm, it's the light that reveals the treasures hidden in darkness. Let us create a ceremony," Sarah proposed, her heart swelling with purpose. "To celebrate the seeds we'll plant and the faith we'll cultivate." The villagers nodded in agreement, caught in the whirlwind of inspiration. Soon, they began to lay out plans beneath the emerging stars. Laughter erupted as they remembered what it felt like to celebrate shared joy and burdens. The elderly woman stepped back, allowing them to embrace their vision. Yet, in her insightful gaze lurked a deeper truth. "Keep in mind, my dear ones, that ceremonies are beautiful, but the soil must be tended to even after they fade. The real work manifests in the unseen." "Unseen?" Miriam pondered. "What do you mean?" "It is in your faith. In those quiet moments of doubt, in the days where the sun hides, and behind every challenge that emerges. You will question yourselves and your purpose. Trials will come, yet cling to one another. Remember that the garden, just like your spirit, grows stronger through struggle." A breeze danced through the trees, cutting through the heavy air. The villagers felt a chill that hinted at the trials they had yet to face. But rather than fear, a fierce defiance ignited in their hearts. Standing together beneath the vast sky, they raised their voices in a freshly woven song, an anthem of unity that broke the silence of night. In that symphony of faith, they knew they were cementing their resolve. As their voices mingled with the night, the old woman returned her gaze to the horizon. "With each dawn, begin anew, but beware, for shadows can be deceptive." Before anyone could respond, she turned, fading into the darkened woods, leaving behind a shimmering trace of hope. "What does it mean?" Mark muttered, his brow furrowed. "What shadows?" murmured a voice in the crowd, anxiety creeping in, but Sarah knew. "It means the garden will test us. Our faith must grow deeper than what we can see, and we must be ready." And they would prepare, but how much more would they have to endure before they truly understood the depths of their journey? With the blanket of stars overhead, doubts mingled with faith, foretelling a divine challenge. What lies ahead could either unite them further or unravel them completely. As the night deepened, an unshakable truth settled in the hearts of the villagers: it was not merely about planting seeds in the earth but cultivating a garden in their souls. Would they stand firm when faced with the shadows that loomed on the horizon? The answers awaited them just beyond the dawn. The dawn broke, spilling golden light over the village, casting warm hues across the faces of the villagers who gathered at the garden plot once more. There was an anticipatory energy that wove through the air like an electric current, a sense of purpose resonating in every heart. Sarah stood at the forefront, her spirit buoyed by the challenges of the past few days. They were not just here to plant seeds in the ground, they were here to nurture hope within their community's very fabric. Today we begin. She called out, her voice ringing clear like a bell, invoking smiles among the gathered crowd. Mark moved close to her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. Let us prepare this ground with love. This garden will be a testimony to our faith and resilience, he added, heart swelling in unity as they knelt before the earth. As they worked side by side, pulling weeds, mixing soil, and shaping the garden beds, their laughter broke through the hard labor. Children dashed about with buckets of water, splashing joyfully, injecting life into their surroundings. With every shove of the spade, every seed planted, the atmosphere thickened with purpose and communal love, but amid their joy, lingering doubts hovered over some in the crowd. What if the rains come and wash away our efforts? One woman hesitated, anxiety knitting her brows. We'll shield it with our prayers. Miriam interjected, her enthusiasm undimmed. Just like the rain nourishes our bodies, it will nourish this garden if we remain united. Sarah exchanged a glance with Mark, whose eyes sparkled with resolve. Together, they understood that weathering the storms, both within and without, would forge their collective strength. The villagers shifted into motion, hands unified as they tenderly placed each seed into the waiting earth. With every small, precious seed nestled among others, they whispered prayers of hope, their voices a soothing hymn rising to the sky. That day's labors felt sacred. They were not just tending to a garden but sowing hope, faith, and renewal into every inch of soil. Days turned into weeks. Their tiny plot flourished, colors blooming vibrantly against the backdrop of their beloved village. The laughter of children brought joy, old friendships rekindled over shared burdens. The garden had become a sanctuary, a place where hearts collided and bonds deepened. But life, as it often does, tested their resolve. Whispers of doubt began to swirl again like clouds gathering before a storm. A sudden drought struck, leaving their fragile sprouts thirsty and parched. Panic rippled through the village as leaders called meetings, fear creeping back into their thoughts. Have we failed? One voice quivered during a gathering, fear lacing their words. No. Sarah stood upright, her voice steady. This is our moment to rise. Even though we can't see the fruits now, remember what we planted together. Hope grows stronger in struggle. As they joined hands, a new spirit of determination filled the air, echoing far beyond their small circle. Each member began to act, sharing their resources. They arranged watering schedules, teaching children the importance of every drop. With every labor, their belief rekindled. Roots grew deeper, spreading through the soil like a network of unwavering support. And then, as if summoned by faith and collective resolve, the clouds broke open. Rain poured down upon them in torrents, laughter erupting as villagers spun in jubilant circles, raising their hands to greet the heavens. The garden drank greedily, burgeoning with life once more. The days that followed solidified their community further. They hosted gatherings, engaging neighbors who had felt isolated, inviting everyone to share their stories. They cultivated trust and compassion, reminding each other of the power they harnessed together. How every act of love was like watering a seedling. Remember when we believed? Mark spoke softly to Sarah one evening after a vibrant gathering, a tree's gentle silhouette against the setting sun. We believed even when faced with trials, and look at us now. It's a journey that has transformed all of us, Sarah replied, a smile bursting from her heart. We have grown stronger. We are family, bound by faith. And then, as summer settled in, their garden began to blossom with bright tomatoes, fragrant herbs, vibrant flowers, a visual testament to their perseverance. Tidings of their transformation radiated through the village, igniting encouragement and new possibilities. Finally, it all came to a head during their grand harvest festival, the culmination of their efforts, held right there in the heart of the garden. Laughter filled the air as music played, and families shared meals crafted from their bounty. In that moment, the essence of love and victory draped over them like a heavenly mantle. As Sarah looked around, warmth radiated through her. A feeling of divine closure swept through the gathering. Here they were, once burdened by doubt, now standing united in faith, celebrating their journey and each other. With gratitude lighting her heart, she stepped onto a wooden crate, raising her arms high. Thank you, everyone, for believing. Remember this day, for it marks the rebirth of our community. We have withstood storms and grown brighter together. Let us continue to lift each other. We will shine wherever we go. The crowd erupted into cheers, their collective hope morphing into a kaleidoscope of light and love. They had tended to more than a garden, they had nurtured lives, healed hearts, and illuminated a path for those still wandering in darkness. Together, they would carry forth this legacy, a beacon of faith for generations to come. And now, dear friends, this is your time to be part of our community. You need to subscribe now to witness more exclusive faith stories that inspire. Leave a like immediately to enrich our reach, comment below your reactions and powerful testimonies about this journey, and share this video instantly with 5 friends who need to see this divine manifestation. Don't wait even one more second. Join this movement of light and love.